Hi, so this week's video was originally going to be an explanation of some of the easier to explain arguments for the flat earth. I thought that would be a sort of fun video to do, but as you can see, we are not doing that, and that has a lot to do with the fact that I have a problem with wasting time. So you're in for a bit of a ramble, but it got me thinking, why do people believe in the flat earth, or any other conspiracy theory for that matter? And the flat earth is a conspiracy theory, because flat earthers believe that NASA, every government, every educational system, and all modern astronomers are lying to you about the shape of the earth. So yeah, it is a conspiracy theory. So I did a lot of research into the psychology of conspiracy theories, which you may or may not know. Psychology is a pretty big interest of mine. I wouldn't say that I've studied a lot of it or that I really know a whole lot about what I'm talking about, but it's long been something that really interests me. But I did some research, and a lot of what I'm saying are just facts that I found in one, maybe two studies each, for each fact. But there's, in general, not a whole lot of research done about this, which is kind of understandable. So why do people believe in conspiracy theories? Well, it seems to me like they don't start off in the deep end. For example, people who believe in the flat earth don't believe it because they were told straight up NASA, every government, and every educational system is lying to you. And they go, yeah, they are. That makes sense. But instead, it starts off with little sort of facts, some difficult questions that are either admittedly actually difficult or just seemingly difficult. And when they're given these tiny little bits of arguments, those affect their attitude towards whatever it is. And there's research showing that they don't know, or they're unable to gauge how their attitude changes in response to these arguments. They can very easily gauge other people's changes in attitudes, but not their own. So they hardly even notice the effect that these arguments are having. But the thing is, there's a type of person to believe in conspiracy theories. Not everybody is going to change their mind when you give them the information in this way. But there are certain characteristics that people who do believe in conspiracy theories have. One is that they don't think analytically. So their belief in these conspiracy theories aren't caused by their genuine, thorough analysis of the facts or the arguments, the evidence, what have you. But instead, there's other research showing that it has to do with how they make sense of societal events. For this reason, it is strongly correlated with political extremism, that is, being really far to the left or right, or just having strong political opinions in general. It's not caused by that, and it doesn't cause that, but the way that they think causes both. But when they hear these arguments for, flat earth, the death of a major political figure, or of a secret society, that doesn't immediately make it clear, simple solutions to problems. But those kinds of arguments do strongly appeal to these kinds of people, because these people are really likely to believe in sort of forces that are unseen, including the paranormal. And these kinds of people are also prone to paranoid ideation, which is unsurprising. But again, that points out the fact that there's a kind of person who is prone to believing conspiracy theories. In fact, those who believe in a conspiracy theory is far more likely to believe in other conspiracy theories, and there's also many instances where people believe in conspiracy theories that directly contradict each other, like the idea that Princess Diana was both murdered and that she was also still alive, and the idea that Osama bin Laden was murdered before his home was raided, and also the idea that, well, he's still alive. And I know that that doesn't make sense. But in their mind, it does. And it's a better explanation to them for many things. They feel like believing in these conspiracy theories gives a better explanation for certain issues, and that they aren't complex or chaotic, but instead they were caused by people, and they are controlled by people. They're not just random forces, and they can be helped. There may be some solace in that to them. And again, they don't think analytically. They don't sit down and analyze what they believe and why they believe it. They just start believing these things because it makes sense to the way that they think. And this kind of makes sense when you consider that our brains aren't hardwired to find the truth. We aren't hardwired to analyze what we believe and to think skeptically. Some of us are far more inclined to think skeptically, but in general, the brain is far better at recognizing, say, patterns. And it's exceptionally good at finding patterns where there is none, which leads to superstition and perhaps to some extent conspiracy theories. And because of that, and because people who believe in conspiracy theories don't think analytically, outright proving them wrong is not going to change their mind. Giving superior arguments, it's not going to change their mind. Proof, just in general, doesn't change people's minds unless they think in a very particular way that few people do. But instead, it's been shown that when people are given evidence, either for or against what they believe, they don't take it for what it's worth, but instead either reject it, finding things wrong with it, whether there actually is or isn't, or accepting it readily if they already agree with it. It just polarizes. It further separates people who believe it from the people who don't. And it's sad to say this, but proof and evidence and arguments, generally speaking, isn't really going to get us anywhere. It isn't going to make us any progress, at least in society. But that kind of begs the question, how do you unconvince somebody of a conspiracy theory if they're convinced of one? Because, like I said, they're not going to respond to arguments, most likely. I think that that would be really, really difficult, if not impossible for most people, because of how they think. Their brain is wired to think that way. But I suppose, perhaps, instead of arguing the most intricate arguments first, it may be best to start with the small explanations that they would hear at first to lead them to believe in a conspiracy theory. These small little facts or bits of information that sort of got them to question whatever it is in the first place, giving those a simple explanation and a better explanation that not only they can understand but makes more sense. I think that that would be far more effective. I can't say for sure because there's not exactly any research on this. This is purely my conjecture at this point. Taking away these small little bits of things that instill little bits of doubt that they heard first, that more or less laid the foundation of the conspiracy theory that they believe, I think that would go a long way in explaining why you don't believe it. But if you're planning on arguing with somebody over a conspiracy theory, then much like with any argument over any strongly held belief, don't expect to make much progress.